Explain like I'm 5. Why can't you drink demineralized water? At my local hardware store, they sell something called Demineralized Water High Purity, and on the back of the packaging it says something like, if consumed, rinse out mouth immediately with clean water. Why is it dangerous if it's cleaner water? The demineralized water at the hardware store isn't rated for human consumption. Selling drinking water requires you to bottle it in food-safe bottles in a sterile facility that has been inspected while getting your water from a safe source that has been tested. Demineralized water generally starts with perfectly safe water from a municipal source, but it's bottled on equipment that they don't bother rating inspecting for human drinking. It's cheaper to just put a tag on it that says not drinking water. What if you were to boil demineralized water? Would that clean it from bacteria? Demineralized water is different from distilled water. Two big differences are, 1, demineralized water is not treated for bacteria viruses because it's not intended for drinking. And 2, drinking demineralized water will actually leach minerals like calcium out of your body. Even pure water has trace minerals, which are essential for our bodies, whereas they are not present in demineralized water. Distilled water is fine to drink, although spring tap water is best. Would number 2 apply to distilled water as well? I thought distilled water, by definition, is distilled from boiling and does not have any minerals left. The leaching out of minerals and osmosis causing cells to burst thing is a myth. You can drink 100% pure water with no ill effects, provided you don't drink too much, which is equally true of ordinary water. This is an interesting topic that I've never thought about before. Why would demineralized water be dangerous to drink? I always assumed that cleaner water would be better for you, but it seems like that might not be the case. I wonder if boiling the demineralized water would actually make it safe to drink, or if there's another way to make it drinkable. It's strange to me that it's sold at the hardware store, but can't be consumed. I'd love to learn more about why demineralized water is not safe to drink, and if there's any way to make it safe. It's something that I definitely need to research more about. What do you think about demineralized water not being safe to drink? Have you ever encountered this before? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Explain like I'm 5. Why are all modern hybrid and plug-in hybrid cars paired with gas engines rather than diesel engines? The diesel and hybrid pair seem like a great idea in theory. A lot of people see hybrids and plug-in hybrids as a great middle ground between ICE and EV. So why not make a diesel hybrid? They can be used in a variety of vehicles and can reduce the NOx and particulate emissions diesels are known for. So why isn't there a modern diesel hybrid being produced, at least as a passenger car? I work at a car company, and getting clean diesel emissions is complicated. Between the sensors, computers, DEF system, and heat management, small car diesel engines are significantly more complex than standard turbocharged gas engines, which are almost as efficient and way cheaper to make. Combine that with the battery and other electric systems, and a hybrid diesel would be a nightmare to engineer and manufacture. Diesels have advantages for heavy-duty trucks and towing, so we still make plenty of them, but there really isn't a market for a more expensive hybrid that would likely also break down more often. Complicated equals you have to take the tests. Mercedes-Benz produces both gasoline and diesel versions of their current generation hybrids. The diesel hybrids are known for having a long highway cruising range, with the benefit of lower emissions in the city. The reason diesel hybrids are not more common is simply price. Most people will opt for the cheaper gasoline version. In Germany, people tend to opt for the diesel version only if they spend a lot of time on the highway and want to reduce refueling stops. Other manufacturers used to produce diesel hybrids up until a few years ago: Range Rover, Volvo, Peugeot. They were not very popular, so they were discontinued. Additional context: diesel engines are really good at running efficiently for long periods of time. The higher energy capacity of diesel allows for a longer stroke, which means the engine can make good torque at lower speeds. This means there is less wear on the engine, which gives diesels their reputation for longevity. So a diesel hybrid is an attractive option if you are constantly running the engine, i.e., on long highway drives. Petrol engines, on the other hand, are less efficient over time, but they are more suited to stop-start applications, i.e., driving around town. Hybrids are also most efficient at low speeds around town, which is why they're generally more suited to petrol engines. I would add that the additional weight of a diesel engine itself is a cost, and hybrid gas systems are fairly well optimized, where the engines last longer than the chassis due to their lower stress/usage. Why buy a diesel that's going to last 150% longer than the projected life of the vehicle? I'm sure it's possible, but hybrids are specifically paired with a type of engine called an Atkinson cycle engine. These are highly efficient on their own, which is why they can achieve 35 plus mpg on the highway with gas when the electric motor is not in use, but have poor low-end acceleration. They can't start from a standstill very well, and that's when the electric motor takes over. This is a really interesting conversation about the complexities of creating modern hybrid and plug-in hybrid cars. It seems like there are a lot of factors to consider, from the emissions to the cost and efficiency of different types of engines. I never realized how much goes into engineering these vehicles. So, have you ever thought about the differences between diesel and gasoline engines in hybrid cars? What do you think would be the most important factors to consider when choosing the type of engine for a hybrid vehicle? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Explain like I'm 5. How do business owners who operate a business that loses money year after year afford to pay themselves? Let's say you went $100,000 into debt starting a business, and it costs $5,000 to operate every month, but you only make $4,000 every month for the first year. But you have a house and family, etc. Where is the money coming from? They can't afford to pay themselves, they live off their savings, and whatever they can borrow until there's nothing left. Then they have to give up, go out of business, and get a job someplace else. Not completely true. Most business owners bake in living expenses into that initial loan. If the bank will give you enough to open the business, then on top of that pay yourself a $100 salary. That is what most will do. Where the question has a bad assumption is that most smart business owners pay themselves before they pay other expenses. What this means is that the salary of the business owner is the most important operating expense. So your analysis, which places that out of proper order, isn't really a good example. Something more realistic. Let's assume in a service industry that doesn't require massive investment in inventory is you float a loan for $100 to start your business. If your income was only expected to be $4,000 a month, you'd never get the loan. So you can prove you'll make $15,000 a month through your business case, and you have collateral such as equity on a house, and so you can actually get a loan. Your business has an income of, say, $15 a month. That's only $500 a day in revenue. Of that, you immediately take $4 from that monthly income as your own salary. You have $11 left. It comes off first because you yourself are an operating expense. You then pay $5 of operating expenses for the rest. You have $6 left. You pay some of that, say $3,000, towards servicing your debt. You have $3,000 left. Then there's taxes, and however they work into the mix if applicable. Now the answer to your question. If the total above is over $15 a month, you're a business that is losing money, but your business can still survive a long time. You might have to reschedule a longer loan payment or make some compromises on operating expenses. You could do some work under the table to avoid business taxes and not declare some of its income. There's other tricks, as long as it doesn't lose too much money in too many months in a row. Anything left after that can get invested into the business to help grow and promote it, or you can take it yourself, or you can expand your stock. Whatever. That's your cushion. Your initial numbers don't make a case for a business that could ever get a startup loan. Keyword: there are smart business owners. I have seen too many who put everything back into the business without paying themselves first. The really short explain like I'm 5 is that they start with a fund, typically a loan or maybe their own savings. They operate the business and pay themselves out of that fund, and they gradually run that fund down to nothing. Then they go bankrupt. I worked in a startup before. Our salary takes precedence, including the owner, over other expenses. So even if the P&L is negative for the month, it's been factored into the expenses. As long as we're positive at year end, it's all good. If not, last year's income will absorb it, the current year's loss. There's also a liquidity ratio that I maintained to ensure that we all get paid on time. If that's insufficient, then it's a line of credit. This is an interesting and informative discussion about the financial struggles of business owners, especially those whose businesses operate at a loss. The various perspectives and experiences shared shed light on the different strategies and challenges faced in managing personal income and business expenses. Wow, I had no idea that business owners prioritize paying themselves before other expenses, and that it's a crucial operating expense for the business. It makes sense that they would include living expenses in their initial loan, but I never considered the impact of personal salary on the overall financial health of the business. So, where does the money come from when a business owner is operating at a loss, but still needs to pay themselves and cover other expenses like rent and utilities? How do they manage to sustain their personal income and keep the business afloat in such challenging financial circumstances? Well, that's another episode of Explain Like I'm 5 in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.